played their 31st this past weekend. The first team to win it back-to-back, keeping clean sheets. They haven't done that either. 8 knockout trophies since 2020, having played 10. This is the most that Orlando Pirates have done, even in the last 24 years. Kahle, ishukuthi mangabe ufavor Orlando Pirates, gishe bank awusame line ungena nje straight phambili. Mangabe ufavor iOrlando Pirates, uma ufika estore ikhadi lakho uswipe uthi nje phakani uphume nezinto. Injalo lento abanye abayazi lento, ngeke ngibasho ngamagama. Doku uyayazi into njalo.
Ukuphi?
Noma ikuphi to?
La South Africa.
Noma ikuphi?
I bet you ngeke say.
Doku, you got to be proud of this team.
Definitely no.
Back-to-back clean sheets.
Yeah. Yeah, back-to-back clean sheets, and also we need to give credit to the coach, you know, and this technical team, because when they started, they were blind. But here he is, we told Lille and our Pirates, we are born a man which player and services and and the beauty about the whole thing is that the depth at Orlando Pirates is unbelievable.
More favor Orlando Pirates Guinea Mark endlini. When they dish up, you choose which piece of chicken before your father.
Yeah.
This Pirates team right now, I agree with Doc, because I was worried when they got knocked out of the Champions League. I honestly was worried, because now keeping the squad happy, keeping them happy as a collective with less games, with the amount of players that they brought in, I was worried about that. But the coach has done it with aplomb. I know obviously there's a few players that we will discuss, but I think he's done an absolutely stellar job.
Well, I'm excited for it. We're going to be taking a look at how Orlando Pirates won this final, their second trophy of the season. They've got 2 more trophies to play for. Had Tito Maswanganyi come through to Snawa early on Metro FM, and he says we're going for all 4. Is this the season that Orlando Pirates gets all 4? Are they going to do what they did back in the day when they said Tekankwashu and they took as many as they could? 3, maybe even 4 with the league and the net bank that still remain. Today, we'll break down how they said farewell to the TLB, played his last match. The resurgent, for those that doubted him, because it's only a resurgent for them, of a young man who brought it all to light. Another final, another impact from Relebule Mofokeng. But that's still to come. We still have, of course, the news with Mazola Mole for the Super Journal. Killer Batsiya, as well as, I'm not sure what you have, because there's just so much from the weekend, Tavik, the principal.
Pirates scored the goal. Some say it's offside, but this is Soccer Zone. We're going to finish it up here and tell you whether it's Saseka or Saseka. Some say it's offside. Now we want to put the element offside, but Soccer Zone will give clarity today.
Hey, man, but offside.
Offside. You know, Ruby, Epalen, I won, no Puntuma, but you know, offside.
Well, I can't wait for it. And also, there's something big happening here today. The Carling knockout, of course, is done, which means now it's the all-star team that's going to be taking on Orlando Pirates. But who's going to be coaching that all-star team? There needs to be a co-coach from the PSL. There needs to be one of the 10 that we saw going into the rigorous training and competition with each other with Jose Ribeiro to see who will be the coach. The 3 that remain are here with us. We'll go through that in you. Let's start, though, go straight to the Super Journal. Killer!
Yeah, let's start with some big news coming from Orlando Pirates. Now, we've been tracking this story initially. Andre de Jong concluded, done deal, old story. That the new story that we're moving to is now who could potentially make way. And we are being told that Mabasa, who's been absent for the last little while in a couple of matches, not played in a cup final on the matches before. Mabasa, who's been absent for the last little while in a couple of matches, not played in a cup final on the matches before, enters the final 6 months of his contract at Orlando Pirates. As things stand, No official news around whether he's going to sign, what would be tabled, or whether he would be move on, or whether Orlando Pirates would be even willing to let him go in the January transfer window. What we do know is that there is interest for a player who scored, 16 goals just 2 seasons ago and finished top goal scorer. It will be interesting how it plays out. And I want Mark Haskins to just rope him in here, just to hear his thoughts on the potential exit of Tshegofatso Mabasa at Orlando Pirates.
Well, that's what I alluded to a couple of weeks ago when we learned about the interest of Andre de Jong, and obviously Tshegofatso Mabasa would be one of those that you would imagine might wake his way out of the club this season. Only playing 9 games in all competitions, scoring 4 goals, even though he hasn't had much game time. He's a proven goal scorer. When I look at his stats from last season, 48 games, 15 goals, 1 assist. So he's someone that knows how to find the back of the net. So I think it would be a big blow for them. But for the player himself, I think he probably needs to make a move.
Yeah, talking about moves, by the way, we will keep a close watch on the Tshegofatso Mabasa story as it develops. The other news at Mamelodi Sundowns, another one that we've stayed closely and watched it closely over the last couple of months, in fact. Thapelo Maseko was meant to move to Cyprus, but Mamelodi Sundowns telling his camp that no, he's in the plans of coach Miguel Cardoso, but if you look at the stats at the moment, he's hardly kicked the ball. Officially, his camp has gone back to Tlorkop to discuss a possible loan move, either locally or abroad, and that's another one that we will bring it to you as it happens. So you can expect Thapelo Maseko to move on from Mamelodi Sundowns in the next couple of weeks when the January transfer window officially opens. Let's roll the days back now to the FIFA World Cup. The draw took place on Friday. Bafana playing Mexico in the opening match, South Korea, and wait to see who in that FIFA playoff joins them in that group out in the Americas. Ronwen Williams reacting to facing Mexico, a draw that happened replicates 2010. Here's the skipper.
Yeah, amazing. Obviously, it's a replay of the opening game of the 2010 World Cup. Now roles are reversed. We're going to be away. And obviously, we know how difficult it is. But it's always nice. You want to play a host nation because then you get that feel, you get the atmosphere, you feel the electricity, the energy. And I'm excited and I'm happy. I think it's a good draw. I think it's one that people shouldn't look at names, but just know that them being there is going to be tough, and we shouldn't start collecting points before we do the job. We need to have that mindset, but also believe that we can go out there and give a good account of ourselves.
Now, the final story completely shook African football and the world at large to some degree. FIFA confirming over the weekend that they've held discussion with CAF, and guess what? They've decided, surprisingly, to agree that the clubs have been given the green light to only release players for the Total Energies Africa Cup of Nations in 2 weeks' time, 7 days before the tournament starts. Unbelievable. 7 days before the tournament starts. I'm going to come back to Dr. Kumalo, but first here's Bafana assistant coach Helman Kelele saying, this is diabolical.
I would say it's totally unfair and also unacceptable, because when you look at it, you're starting to make, like assumptions, saying that, FIFA, it really doesn't take African football too serious as they do with the Europeans, So you're starting to feel that you are more or less important than the other nations or the other leagues, But I believe that CAF will also need to make their point to FIFA, because really it can't go on like this.
Doc, some even saying this is disrespect to African football. This 7 days before the tournament kicks off.
Mazola, to be precise, I think CAF, they should learn that they need to protect African football. We understand that the bulk of players come from Africa, but also we have our own tournament that they need to respect. And CAF also needs to be very wary in terms of when and how do they stage this tournament, because now it contradicts the contracts of the players that are playing in Europe. Now, when you look at it, you might think FIFA is the one that is at fault, but it's CAF. If they went to approach CAF, CAF then should have stood ground in terms of saying, no, we are starting this tournament on the 21st or whatever date, but players need to be released 3 weeks before or 2 weeks before, because what is the coach going to do in 7 days? But maybe on the other hand, it's good for Bafana because 90% are local.